Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as a Goku clone. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 19. 6 months came and went in a blur of time. I couldn't in good conscience leave the Mirai timeline behind, without seeing things through. Part of that may have been the fondness I gained for future Gohan with the memories I received, though a large part of it could be attributed to something much more important. A busty, horny and lovable MILF. To be quite honest, I could have created my own Dragon Balls and used the wish from them to recharge Shinron quicker so he could be summoned again. But I had time to spa with the option of 2 Bulmas all to myself? That's the kind of thing dreams are made of. I've grown massively in strength. Yet, if I was actually fully 100% focused, I could have grown even stronger. But the fact of the matter was, I only focused 50% of my time on training. The other 50%, I spent on relaxing and spending time with the pair of Bulma. A lot of that time was spent in bed. Especially when they got adventurous enough to take me on together after 2 months and turned my nights into a ménage à trois. The light shining in from the window, illuminating the room with the radiance of the rising sun, drew my attention for a moment, before my eyes slid down to the 2 exhausted slumped over my thighs. Mirai Bulma, as I called her in my head, was slumped over my left thigh, her beautiful blue hair cascading downwards like a curtain and hiding her face from my gaze. But, need to look at my other thigh to see her mirror image anyway. The fruit from the tree of might I'd given her had restored her youth and brought her back to her prime. The SA as the Bulma of my timeline. They were honestly identical in every way, and the only way to tell them apart was the fact the younger of the two was stronger, and Mirai Bulma's just a little bit older, a little bit more mature. Fondness flowed through me and I reached down to gently comb my fingers through her hair, causing her to nuzzle into my palm. It's almost time. I sighed wistfully. You're leaving soon, huh? Her voice rang in my ears, and I noticed a blue eye peering up at me through the curtain of blue. Here I thought you'd be out of it for hours yet. I snorted. I'd been very thorough with her through the night, focused most of my attention on her because it would be the last much, so I ended up breaking the bed and had to conjure a new one for us to sleep on, and continue our fun. If it wasn't for that fruit you gave me, I definitely would be. Mirai Bulma gigged, though, even with that my entire body feels numb. You really gave me it hard last night. The fruit. She was talking about the golden fruit, renamed from King Yama's fruit. The tree had sprouted from the seed I planted within a few weeks. And since then, it had G3 of the fruit every single month. Oddly though, there were no seeds in the fruit. It made me wonder just where Kranoa got the one she gave me. Though, I wish they'd waited. They'd eaten them right then and there to double their power instead of following my advice and waiting until their power had grown much high more gains. And when I asked, they just waved me off and smiled at me like they had some secret that I didn't know about. Oh well. At the end of the day, it wasn't a big deal. Despite how easily they took to learning key techniques from me when they asked me to show certain ones to them, they were combatants and had no interest in being so. Well, you were kind of asking for it, just look at what you were wearing. I replied teasingly, pointing at the discarded heap of blue tights, black leotard, and high heels that were the hairband adorned with bunny ears. The younger of the two had let her older self know just how much I adored her in the Playboy bunny outfit. And so I got 2 bunny girls waiting for me in the bedroom last night, returning from sparring with Gohan and Piccolo. It had taken months of instruction from both myself, who had got the information directly from Son Goku, and Piccolo, who had with Son Goku assumed the transformation in Otherworld frequently, but he'd finally managed it just a week ago. He managed to ascend beyond even the legendary power of a Super Saiyan to become a Super Saiyan too. I definitely underestimated how much you liked us in those outfits though, she continued, before adding, peon, with a teasing little wink. I smirked. God, last night was amazing. You haven't lived until you've had 2 Bulmas dressed as bunny girls worshipping your balls. Still, today's the day, huh? Mirai Bulma sighed sadly. Time sure has flown by these 6 months. I don't think I've ever been so happy and content in my life, or if I have been certainly can't remember it. I opened my mouth, before stopping and closing it. I didn't want to leave her behind. I can visit this timeline as I please thanks to Cronoa, but I didn't want to leave her behind regardless. Yeah, I nodded solemnly, there's just one more thing I want to do before I leave, and it's just a matter of me using instant transmission and beating it into submission. We fell into a comfortable, if sad silence. I don't want you to go, she admitted after a few moments of it. Well, I guess, if she was going to come out and say it, I can bring it up myself, though I'm not going to force the issue. I don't want to leave you behind, I replied in kind. She was silent again for a moment. Bulla wants to go with you, she revealed. I nodded. I already knew that. She'd been badgering me for months to let her come with me when I left this timeline. Especially after her mother outright told her that she didn't her becoming sexually active until she was the same age Bulma herself was when she set out on her journey for the Dragon Balls. Meaning 15. Still another good few months. With how angry she got that day, it was lucky she'd already managed to become a Super Saiyan, otherwise I think she might have just ascended then and there. That one poor she ran rampant on, I pray it's having a nice time in the afterlife. I gave her permission if you said it was okay. Mirai Bulma admitted next. And you're okay with that? I asked in surprise. After all, Bulla had never met her grandparents, and they would be getting wished back soon. As would everyone else, including Goku and Vegeta. She's just following the advice I gave her, and the same advice my dad gave to me that inspired me to set out looking for the Dragon Balls in the first place. The blue-haired M smiled at me. He always encouraged me to go for what I wanted as hard as I could, no matter where the wind would take me. Dr. Briefs is an interesting guy, that's for sure. I mused with a chuckle. That sounded just like him. He was a very understanding man who doted on his daughter and did every could to ensure her happiness. I really liked the guy. Yeah, that's why I came to a decision of my own. She suddenly grinned, getting me to look down at her in confusion. Wanna know why we ate those fruits you gave us last? And I, without waiting, she changed gears all of a sudden and asked. Humor me. I replied drily, I've got no idea what she's up to right now. Well, you remember that stupid dance you showed us and tried to get us to do a few months ago? She asked. The fusion dance? A few months back I'd pounded them both hard, fucked them in any and every position I could think of. I even conjured a stripper's pole and bounced one up down on my cock till she was a drooling mess with her eyes rolled up into the back of her head, and had the other one dance for my entertainment while I did so. I teasingly yes to them and said maybe they should fuse together and try their hand at taking me on, see if they could keep up then. What about it? I asked, did you guys try out fusing? Though, I don't see how that has anything at all to do with the previous subject of Bulla wanting to come with me when returned to my own timeline with Bulma and Dent. Yes, something like that, she confirmed with a smirk, her small soft hands pressed against my thigh, and she pushed herself up so she could look me in the eyes. My own fell to her chin where her large, round breasts dangled almost lewdly on her chest, twin pink peak nubs looking incredibly appealing. And do you remember what we've been mainly wanting to learn from you? Instant transmission? I wondered. Because that was generally the one thing they were most focused on learning, the pair of them. I don't blame them either, it's such an awesome technique. Yup, she nodded, her smirk turning almost vulpine with smugness. And what does learning that let us do? Teleport? Ugh, she rolled her eyes. Honestly, Kakarot, it's spirit control, that thing you've been abusing religiously since you got it from that wish. And what does that have to do with the fusion dance? I questioned. Oh, for crying out loud, another voice came from my other thigh, and the younger Bulma pushed herself up to glare into my eyes, apparently having feigned sleeping to. We're smartest bitches you'll ever come across, no matter what timeline you hop to, and you taught us an ability that let us experiment and augment ki. She snapped her fingers and F my eyes to make sure I was following along, and when I just stared at her bemused, she huffed and got up off of the bed on wobbly legs, her older self following suit. And we're scientists studly, so we obviously researched similar things, Mirai Bulma added as they met at the foot of the bed, like Piccolo's ability to permanently fuse with OT Namekians. What that means is, the younger of the two picked up, puffing her chest out and smirking at me proudly, her entirely naked body on full display. Like the geniuses we are, we a whole new ability from the dance, using information from Piccolo and spirit control. We learned how to make it permanent. Mirai Bulma finished, standing alongside her younger self and just as naked as she was. They were almost physically identical. The only between them on that front is the older of the two of them having slightly large breasts and hips, a bonus from motherhood. My eyes widened. Wait, seriously? I gaped at them, my eyes settling on Mirai Bulma as I processed what they meant. But what about this time? And your parents, they'll be wished back soon. I told you, didn't I? She shrugged at me. Dad always encouraged me to go after what I want. And I want you. Besides, Bulla might be a super tough Super Saiyan now, but I'm letting my daughter go off on a crazy time jumping adventure without me. And this world will be fine without me. 2 Bulmas are even better than 1 Kakarot. The younger Bulma, my girlfriend, winked at me. If our calculations are right, and they are, because when are they ever wrong, be a much bigger help to you in your whole saving the universe from getting erased thing. Try not to let your cock get too hard, okay, stud? Mirai Bulma giggled. Just sit back and enjoy the show. She turned to her younger counterpart as she said that, and wrapped creamy arms around her identical, pushing up against her. Their large, doughy tits squashed against each other lewdly, and before I could say anything, they both leaned for war-kissed. It was one of the hottest things I'd ever seen. And as soon as they did, their ki surged and they both began glowing a bright, blinding blue that blotted their forms out. It was so had to cover my eyes. But I felt it without having to see it. As their keys merged together, becoming a stronger combined might, and then began to shoot massively, massively upwards. It was the large growth of power I'd ever felt, outside of a transformation like Super Saiyan. And when the light died down, only 1 Bulma remained. But she had the presence of both together. Clad in clingy white pants with slits on the sides, and a black vest with GOL shoulders that showed off their toned torso, their beautifully large, yet incredibly perky tits straining against black chest bindings that barely contained her bodacious cleavage. What ya think, Kakarot? She preened as I stared at her gobsmacked, sensually running her hands up her curvy hips, over her torso to the underside of her tits where she cupped and wiggled them teasingly at me. The all-new Super Bulma is here now, and I'm so hot I make the sun look cold. She wasn't wrong. Bulma was always amazingly hot, gorgeous, even one of the most beautiful people I'd ever seen, and could make a model stare in envy as she walked past this fusion of the future and present Bulma. Her skin had a radiant glow to it. The few tiny imperfections she had, like a tiny little bend to her nose, things like that, were all gone. Her stomach was tighter, her hips flared out even more amazingly, and I think her tits are even a little bit bigger than either of them had before, or at least rounder with a cleavage. And her power was insane, greater even than my own base form, more than double it. I found myself licking my lips. I think you need to lose those clothes and get over here, I said, lifting a finger and beckoning her back to the bed with me. I need to break you this new body of yours a test run. Already blood was flowing to my groin, my limp dick beginning to rise like Corinne's tower piercing into the sky. Oh really? Super Bulma rose an eyebrow at me, and a second later, the Metamoran clothing covering her form disappeared. Interesting, isn't it? The clothing is as much a me as my fingers or toes. I can make them disappear or reappear at will, she explained when she saw my own eyebrows raised in interest. Hips swaying mesmerizingly, she sauntered towards the bed, reaching down to grab the discarded pair of bunny ears the younger of the 2 Bulmas had been wearing last night, slipping them onto her head, before kneeling on the bed and crawling towards me. For once, I could go all out on my girl without hurting her. Even with as strong as they had been before, I was still just that much stronger that I had to hold back, but not anymore. I fucked her so hard the entire building shook, and I'm sure the city itself began vibrating a bit. It was a good thing West City was a ghost town due to the androids, or would have been a mass panic. Still, Super Bulma were not now, and even stronger than me in the base form, she still couldn't keep up, and when she got cocky for a bit initially, well, she wasn't for long when dick form came into play. I screwed her into a sputtering, squealing mess. Sadly, I have things I need to do today, so I couldn't waste all my time doing her. So we cut off early, so I could accomplish what I needed to, and so she could get feeling back legs quick thanks to her regeneration and go about making sure we had all the things we needed that we were taking into our timeline with us. Like the vaccine for the heart virus killed the Son Goku of this world. So once I was ready and dressed, I placed my 2 fingers on my forehead, sensed up to the lookout for a familiar group of powers and used instant transmission to teleport on. As soon as I appeared there, I had to dodge out of the way of a glowing blonde missile. Bulla cursed as she slammed into tiled flooring of the lookout, before immediately pushing up, ignoring the smashed tiles beneath her. "You're gonna get a th," she went to say before pausing as she saw me. "Oh, hey daddy," she greeted me, the aggression leaving H. "Finally calmed down, have you, sister?" A smooth, baritone voice spoke up from behind me, and to think, if I had just called father up before, I could have gotten back to my Joe earlier. "Stop calling me that, you dick." Bulla switched her attention from me to glare over my shoulder at the one talking to her. I snorted and turned to face him, an incredibly tall pale-skinned man, clad in a spotted green carapace, a gnarled wooden staff held within one of his hands. "Greetings, father." Cell completely ignored Bulla's anger to smile genially at me. "A bit late, are you not? I suppose you were kept back longer due to that odd, yet incredible surge of power I felt see from Bulma? You know I'm not actually your father, right?" I pointed out, huffing in amusement, and yes, it seems that they decided to fuse together into a single Bulma permanently, so th of this time can be with me as well. "What an incredibly unpredictable woman," Cell hummed before pointing the head of his staff at me, the sign of his position and the former staff of Kami. "And, is there a problem referring to you as my father?" Jero made the imperfect, imbecilic Cell that would never truly be perfect. "You are the one who created me from that foolish cell, the path to true perfection." I honestly didn't mind at all, to be honest. "Call me father if you want." I shrugged. He only called Bulla sister to rile her up, due to the fact that she'd eaten and devoured the Ev of his soul. Perfect. His smile broadened. "So mom went ahead and done it, huh?" Bulla spoke up as she powered down, her aura disappearing and her hair reverting from gold to lavender. "You knew she was planning that?" I rose an eyebrow at her. "Sure, they both told me about it when they okayed letting me go with you if you let me," she shrugged, before narrowing her eyes at me. "Speaking of, you're letting me come." Obviously, I rolled my eyes. "Honestly, I'd take you all with me if this universe wasn't en route to get blown to shit without everyone." Yes, this Xeno," Cell hummed, nodding his head. "Even in the few meetings I've had with King Yemma since taking up the role of Guardian of Earth, he's been very tight about him." Truly fascinating that even those that oversee the afterlife, the very gods of this world, are terrified of this being. Cell quickly reached his perfect form within a few weeks under my guidance. From what Bulma had told me of going through Jero's files, he'd needed to reach a battle power of millions before he'd been able to reach his imperfect form. I'd fed him fruit from the Tree of Might, 475 of them in total actually to reach that stage. And once he'd evolved to his imperfect form and stayed under the watchful gazes of both myself and Piccolo for a while, I'd went on to let him absorb Android 17 and Android 18. He had actually been very hesitant to do so. And had actually outright refused. It wasn't until I'd done a little something to let him know that only evil ran through those android bodies did he comply and absorb them and reach his semi-perfect form, and then his perfect form. From everything I'd managed to glean, Cell enjoyed fighting, and he enjoyed his own greatness. But with all the evil within him torn out, he was a kind soul. He honestly reminded the arrogance of Piccolo, yet with the kindness and patience of Kami. And with Den to unlock his great potential, well, I'm very sure he is vastly stronger than the canon Cell. When I asked of him later, to take up the position of Guardian of Ear, guide this world and be the holder of the Dragon Balls, he had gladly accepted. That was 3 months ago now, and since then he had been under the tutelage of not only Mr. P-Dend and Piccolo himself. Honestly, I still find this hard to believe. Bulla crossed her arms and rolled her eyes. "I've felt your power at your very highest output, in Super Saiyan 3, if we weren't in Y dimension at the time the amount of energy you were outputting would have probably cracked the planet in half." That was more due to just how obscenely hard Super Saiyan 3 was to control. I'd spent the last 6 months constantly refining my control over the Super Saiyan transforma. Only took me a month to get full control over the first form. Thankfully, Son Goku's memories came with a lot instructions and knowledge on the forms, and even Super Saiyan that hard to gain full control over. The real problem had been the heavily increased aggression. The power output itself was much easier to keep a hold of. But Super Saiyan 3? It worked on the route of overcharging the Super Saiyan ki, a lot like Kaioken, but at a massively increased scale. The The strain on the body was massive, entire physical body is used as a conduit for that energy. It was why in that form, my hair extended massively down to the back of my knees. It was a form that needed a extreme amount of ki generated in the first place to even begin the step of transforming, which was why I suspect Son Goku in the canon timeline initially took so much time to enter the in that sheer amount of heavy, dense ki could cause tremendous damage on the surroundings if not controlled. I had a much easier time of it thanks to both my tail that offs the energy output I needed and worked as an extra conduit to infuse my generated ki into, and the fact that it was much quicker for me to generate that ki because of my infinity generator. Still, even now while I've been at it for 2.5 months, it still takes a bit of time to enter the form and my control in it while decent, still isn't the best. But, I can at least enter it right now without pulling a Goku and shaking the entire planet, as long as I'm careful. And my temper is a hair trigger in that form also. No, trust me, Zeno is so far beyond my strength right now it isn't even funny, I replied, shaking my head. He could blink me out of existence. Hell, one of his lackeys could. Which is terrifying coming from your father, Cell pointed out. After all, it's not a far stretch to say you could do the same to any single one of us. Well, maybe not blink, but yo point. I'll believe it when I see it. Bulla shrugged. She may have inherited the same techniques and fighting abilities Cell had due to that fruit I had given her containing his evil ki, hadn't really changed her attitude at all. At most, it had simply made her a bit more aggressive. I'd made sure to keep an eye on her just in case and was prepared to make AS Dragon Balls if the worst happened, but she was fine, as I had expected when I did it initially. So, when are we leaving? She asked, changing the subject. Tonight. I replied simply. I'd kept contact with people of this dimension to a minimum and had not even went and met the Master Roshi of this timeline. I left 10 fruit of my everyone, all of my acquaintances even those I hadn't met with Gohan to gift them when they returned to life, to increase their powers and enhance their lifespans massively was to believed, a single one of them would allow someone to live 500 years. So 10 of them was basically gifting each and every single one of them a lifespan of 5 years. 180 fruit, that was how many I was leaving behind for others to take. Well, some had already taken those 10 like the Bulma of this timeline and Gohan, but there were 10 fruit each for Bulma's mother, Bulma's father, Bulma's sister, Chi-Chi, Ox King, Master Roshi, Puar, Oolong, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Kaiotsu, Yajirobe, Launcha Son Goku and Vegeta. The 10 for Vegeta are merely a thank you gift for the wonderful sexy daughter he left behind, and for the fact that I totally stole Bulma for myself. That soon, huh? Bulla grimaced, then nodded. Suddenly, her aura burst into life around her. Then I'm off to go see Master Gohan and say goodbye. This'll be the last I see him while. Later daddy, prick, she said, nodding to me, then Cell and taking off into the air a moment later and speeding away. Goodbye sister, have a safe trip. Cell waved after her, a chuckle escaping his lips. When she was out of sight, he sighed and shook his head. Truly, I'm quite jealous she gets along. I can almost taste the fun we'd have traveling through all the different timelines, defeating villains, growing stronger together and rising up to surpass even these gods of destruction you told me about. It would be fun, I agreed. I can almost imagine the horror of popping up in a timeline within the Saiyaman saga with Cell at my side. The chaos that would cause would be legit. I really want to see if you can reach that golden form thing Frieza does later down the line. I definitely will be attempting it. We have much preparation we need to do to avoid getting erased by the Omni King. Cell nodded. He clapped his together around his staff. Speaking of preparation, that reminds me, father. I, alongside Mr. Popo, looked over Koren's tower and found a few of these. I believe you should take one. Magic swirled in his and suddenly a pot was in his hand, filled with dirt and a tiny little green sapling sprouting out of it. What's this? I asked, accepting it from him. A sprout for growing senza beans. Cell grinned at me, gesturing his arms out broadly. It seems, at least according to Mr. Popo, that the more ki-enriched area they are grown quicker and more abundant they can grow. The Earth, it seems, does not have a lot of ambient ki, and Koren's tower is an area designed to stimulate that ambient ki. But, your P dimension does not have that problem and should be capable of growing them abundantly. Oh. My eyes widened. That explains so much. Honestly, at this point I may as well give up being a warrior and become a farmer instead. Seriously, 2 tree of might, ye fruit tree, and now I'm gonna be planting senzu beans too. Actually, that might actually be fun. There's like a ton of mystical fruit and such about the Dragon Ball universe. Where would I get my hands on that crazy demon fruit garlic Jr.? And you'd still be far more productive than Dr. Jarrow, Cell grinned. He went to continue, but the sound of heavy footfalls coming from his new home alerted us to an approaching someone. And a moment later, a towering behemoth of a man clad in green armor stepped out. "Hello 16, come to watch the birds?" He greeted the android pleasantly. "Good day Super Cell." Android 16 inclined his head in greeting. "And yes, I am." After saying so, the android walked past us both, though he paused and eyed me thoughtfully for a moment before continuing on. "Well, his whole programming used to be about killing Son Goku before my Bulma got to reprogramming him alongside the other four, androids 13, 14, 15, and 19. All of the reprogrammed androids are actually living up here on the lookout and are under Cell's command, as force of good to protect the planet." "Super Cell?" I raised an eyebrow at him, a grin tugging at my lips as amusement filled me. "Mr. Super Perfect Cell actually," Cell grinned as he corrected me, "but for you father, you can just call me Cell." "Learn that from Den, did you?" I asked. I thought it only fitting. After all, I'm at least partially Namekian, and part Piccolo and Kami specifically, and I'm Guardian of Earth, he pointed out. "Well, have fun with that then." I shrugged as I opened up a portal to my personal dimension. I should really name it actually, and placed the potted senza bean inside it for safekeeping for the moment. "I'll plant it later." "Oh, I plan to," Cell chuckled. He wrote out his amusement before his face turned serious. "Are you ready to do it now, father? I found it last night and have been tracking it. It is thing, and if left unchecked will surely lower the mortal level of this universe vastly." "Yeah, it's the only thing left to do here." I nodded. It was an idea that had come to me a few months back. Something to both help this timeline if it was actually a thing, and the growth of my personal dimension. "Very well, place your hand on my shoulder, father, I will show you where it is," Cell nodded, before biting his lip. "A word of warning though, father." While monitoring it, I felt an incredibly powerful and evil key within it. For the most part, it was only a bit above a third of the strength of my own full power, but at random intervals it spiked massively to even surpass my own. While not a match for your full power, I am unsure if this is extent of their power. There's actually someone that's strong out and about in this universe? It's a good thing I'm still here then before they inevitably find their way here to Earth, like every massive the universe usually does. "I'll be careful, don't worry," I promised him, then placed my hand on his shoulder. As soon as I did, I felt my vision shift as I allowed Cell to direct what I saw. My vision was carried deep into the plunging black depths of space, stars and planets whizzing by in. And suddenly, my vision was filled with the view of a gargantuan, white mechanical sphere, easily the size of the Earth's moon. The Big Geet star. And sharing my senses with Cell, I could feel the dark, rage-filled and evil key he warned me of. I mentally thanked Cell and locked onto that key signature. And a split moment later, I left the Earth on the lookout behind as I shifted through space and time to appear above Titanic metal sphere. Way bigger than I thought it would be. I whistled. I really am impressed by this thing. I took a moment then to just luxuriate in the feeling of being in space, and capable of breathing thanks to the traits I picked up from King Cold, and even talking as if I were BA Earth. God, I'm fucking awesome. I observed the Big Geet star for a good little while. It was obscenely big, but due to my speed it was quite simple to fly in orbit around it, looking it over and searching for a W that didn't require me blasting it open. I could probably wipe it out in one shot if I want with my full power. But no, this thing will be incredibly useful to me. Not only for increasing the mortal level of whatever university but also for optimizing the NET life I so desire. But no, it's shut tight. I'm gonna have to blast it open IQ. SHHHT*. I was cut off as a part of it slid open, revealing a hallway illuminated by lines of lights engraved in the walls. A moment later, a shiny, metallic silver humanoid figure walked. The first thought I had is that they definitely aren't cooler. No, it's someone I really wasn't expecting. A massive muscular build, ragged white pants, gleaming golden adornments. And even with a metallic body, somehow glowing golden green hair and whited out eyes. It's you! I knew it. Broly hissed, pointing a massive metal finger in my direction. That ki I felt through Cell, so he was the one. Kaokoaro what? A raging gree burst into existence around him and the metallic behemoth threw himself at me at blindingly fast speeds, a giant meaty metal fist outstretched towards me. Golden light surged around my form as I entered Super Saiyan and a shockwave that could demolish a mountain erupted as his fist met my palm. But I didn't budge at all. He's really strong. But really, not that much stronger than Bulla in her own Super Saiyan form. Broly, didn't you get retconned? I asked with a snort. He roared angrily, putting all his strength into his fist to try and overpower me, and I felt his power beginning to rise. Kahakoraru dash. None of that now, I sked, letting go of his hand and stepping out of the way and allowing his own strength to carry him by me. Bye-bye Broly. I wrapped my arms around H. He went past me, dug my fingers in hard and then ripped his head off of his shoulders. His body went limp and began floating there in space while I held his head between my hands. I eyed his metallic face, frozen into a snarl. I raised an eyebrow when wires began squirming out of his decapitated neck on both ends, reaching towards each other to try and reconnect. Yeah, but no. I snorted and fired double-handed ki wave through the head down across the body and wiped them both from existence. The legendary Super Saiyan. A being who can get stronger indefinitely in that form. But see, as long as their power is lower than yours, it still takes them time to ramp up, the gap between you both the longer it takes. That is what I learned from the memories I received. And there's one simple way to deal with that kind of thing. Kill them before they can ramp up. In the Super movie, if Goku and Vegeta had just taken things seriously from the S, could have easily killed the much superior version of Broly before he got the chance to ramp up and overtake them. Now I turned to the big Geat Star, only to sigh as I saw dozens of same kind of hatches sliding open and very familiar giant metallic-bodied behemoths stepping out. Ka-Haka-Rorut. 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 Yeah, I know my name, you fucking autistic rage-tard. I rolled my eyes. I completely forgot the big Geat Star can do that. With a sigh I eyed the gathering of basically cyborg legendary Super Saiyans and got ready to murder them all. Though a thought occurred to me, if his body is metal, why his clothes you know not? And why the hell does he have actual hair? Chapter 20. More and more metallic Brolys burst from the big Geat Star until I was surrounded by hundreds of them. So there's no way they're being produced instantly, they must have been made in advance over time. I mused, idly eyeing the huge number of hulking metal legendary Super Saiyans. The big Geat Star was quite something indeed. From what I remember, the mass-produced robots it had were strong enough to even overpower Krillin and Gohan, and it was set in time somewhere near the beginning of the Android saga, and beyond those two even Piccolo had some trouble with them. That means each one of them was at least over 1 million in battle power by my calculations. And, if Universe 3 is anything to go by, even robots raised the mortal level. Which means, the big Geat Star can play another role as well for me. The darkness of space warped around me, lighting into gray and glowing green as the massive metal Brolys powered up around me and charged me from every direction. If I was only just strong, this might actually be a problem. But I'm not just an obscenely strong awesome beast. I dare say the only one in Universe 7 who knows more ABO than me is Whis. Or, at most, him and Beerus. It was hard to tell how competent the Lake Cat Destroyer god was beyond his actual pure strength. I held my breath and everything froze to a stop around me. Immediately, I began feeling my heart and lungs beginning to constrict within my chest. I could hold this for maybe seconds at most before I blacked out. Not even my regeneration or ability to breathe ki would help me here. Good thing I had the perfect technique to deal with a massive enemies like this quickly. Thank you, Krillin. I raised my palms into the air, crimson red ki forming into existence. I mentally took note of every single Broly's ki signature. I couldn't tell them apart at all, but I could tell which single one of them were. Scattering Bullet. I shouted, and from the crimson ki illuminating my palms beams of ki in the dozens, tens of dozens, then hundreds formed and shot up into existence above fireworks before dipping down towards the amassed existence of Broly. Every single being was as strong as my full power in the form I am right now. Thanks to my infinite ki generator, the depths of space was lit up with a crimson-red glow as my attacks washed over them all, wiping them from existence. I stopped holding my breath and time resumed. Ka-dash, the final remaining metal Broly stopped his charge towards me abruptly, shock coloring his metallic features as he bore witness to the outright massacre of his counterparts. How, what, he gaped, swinging around from side to side widely looking for the others, but he was the only one who remained. I lifted my hand and used my magic to conjure a red and white sphere container with a very special seal engraved on the top. He turned to me, a snarl on his silver lips. "Kakarot, you screaming freak," he roared. I felt his power spike and begin climbing higher at twice the rate it was before. A line GRE sphere of ki bursting into existence in his palm and tossing it at me. As soon as it left his palm, it began to rapidly increase in size, going from the size of a drinking mug to 1 feet by 100 feet in the blink of an eye and growing still. Omega Blaster. As it reached me a moment later, I opened my mouth and inhaled. Using one of the techniques I learned from information I gained from Mr. Popo by wishing on Shinran, I latched the ki and simply sucked it into my mouth. My ki reserves were already full, so the mass amount of extra ki I received from absorbing it, I simply funneled into my dimension. For the meal. I smirked at him. He stared at me wide-eyed before his whole giant body began to shake uncontrollably as if he was having a fit. Then, he threw his head upwards as his power already rising increased speed, and roared, Mafuba. I thrust my hand out, swirling my ki out into a raging tornado of green and yellow power that swept over his form and cut his little power-up tantrum off. I felt him rage and buck against the hold of my technique, but I'm simply just that much stronger than him that it's like a salamander matching its strength against that of a TR. I directed my technique carrying him to the red and white sphere in my hand and forced it inside it. Then before he could try to escape, I simply pressed the red half down on TH bottom half, closing it and sealing him within with a quiet little click. I want to be the very best that no one ever was. I sang a very beloved little song verse to myself, amusement filling me. I opened a portal to my dimension and stored the Mafuba ball in it for safekeeping for now. After all, even with the memories I received, there had never been a metal Broly W them. This dude was like a collector's item. Now, let's find the main body. I hummed. I turned towards the big Geet Star and fired a quick blast at one of the hatches, blasting it open and revealing lit-up hallway to me. I jumped inside, just as metal burst from the hole I made and fixed the hatch back up. I paused as I landed, a whistle escaping me as I felt a familiar power was over me. The same one as all the metal Brolys, identical to them even. Except, this was a good 3 times greater than any of them. Guess that's the main body. I mused, and began making my way towards him. I could teleport to him instantly with instant transmission if I wanted, but I wanted to take a low around this place first. The big Geet Star, for all of its size, was pretty barren on the inside. Big ol' robots popped out constantly and attacked me by the dozens. My scouter telling me each and every sin of them sat at 3 million in battle power. Oddly enough, no more Brolys attack me, so I guess that is them all that attack me outside. And there were hundreds of room passed by. But each one was just filled with computers and other such technology. All in all, pretty damn boring. I mean, a wet dream come true for Bulma probably. But for me, bland and boring. Though, it definitely has a lot of potential. The Big Geek Gamer, for instance, definitely has a nice ring to it. This technological marvel will go a long way to enhancing my future, amazing life as a Super Saiyan in ET. I can see it now, every gaming system known to mankind. All types monitors for me to pursue freely. Virtual reality up the wazoo. And me, sitting there on the most comfortable lounging chair in existence, with an ever-replenishing bowl of fruit beside me. Excitement flowed through me to the point where my body was practically vibrating. I couldn't wait anymore and I was still ages away from getting to my destination and getting hands on the main terminal of the Big Geek Gamer system. I placed 2 fingers on my forehead, and then I locked onto Broly's key with my key sense and teleported straight to him. I found myself appearing with a massive wide open room, at the bottom of a grand staircase leading up to a giant throne. And sitting on that throne, was a very familiar metal behemoth of a man with glowing green hair. "So you've come, Kakarot," the real Broly sneered down at me, his massive hands clenching tightly into the armrests of his throne and cracking them. "I'm quite glad you survive extra bodies. Now I can hear your screams that have haunted me since the day I was born, you scrawny runt, only now in your death throes." "That's nice, Broly," I smiled up at him. "So, where's the main terminal that's got you connected to the Big Geek Star?" Broly snorted, "Bravado won't save you, weakling. You may have been strong enough to defeat my bodies, but I'm the true legendary Super Saiyan, I'm far above them." Boa pushed himself up off of his throne, "Though, I suppose you little freak, if you must know, the connection between me and my pet is right here." He pointed to his forehead. "So that's where it is, good to know," I nodded, before smirking at him. "Rejoice, Broly, for your old best buddy Kakarot is gonna give you a free cranial nerve examination." "A clown to the last, you wailing weakling." Broly growled, before tensing and powering up, key exploding into existence around him and then throughout the room, and great big arc outright warped the color of the room. "Watch, and piss yourself in fear before my mic Before my eyes, his body bulked up even larger, blue bioelectricity sparking around his form and throughout his raging green aura as his power suddenly doubled. And then can grow and grow at a rapid pace. Right now, he's even stronger than me. He exploded forward, the sheer force of his takeoff destroying his throne and the staircase it was on as he shot down towards me. He was upon me in the blink of an eye, a blink of my eye actually, not a normal person's. His giant metallic fist met my arms lifted into a crossblock over my face, and I felt my creak and break as I was plowed down through the metal floor, and the one below it, the one below that, and 3 more before I cratered the last. My arms flared with agony, and already they had turned from tan to completely purple and blue, my hands twisted due to dislocated wrists. "Well now, I wasn't expecting that," I noted, as I clenched my fists and jerked my wrists back into place, my bones mending seconds later and the heavily bruised and broken FL arms receding and returning to healthy tan skin. Despite myself, excitement flared within my core. Now here's a real challenge. But, as much fun as it would be to fight this kind of guy while pacing myself, I'm simply not so much an idiot to let my battle lust let a risk like the legendary super artist continue to power up just for a challenge. Kakarot. Broly roared. I looked up to see his silver and green form dive bombing towards me from the holes I made by getting punched through the floors of T-Geek Star. I reached for my magic, and combined it with my ki. White bolts of electricity ran across my golden aura as I entered my mystic Super Saiyan form and my power tripled. A shocked gasp left Broly's throat as I blitzed up from my crater and slammed my fist into his own face and sent him blasting right back up through the ceilings one after another. Ironically, as I chased him up, he landed in a crater on the ceiling on his throne room, his metallic cheek dented inwards. He stared down at me, silent and wide-eyed for a moment, before his cheek filled back out and a roar exploded from his mouth. Then, he spat out a massive green mouth beam down at me. "Oh, Broly, you shouldn't have," I fake swooned, as I lifted my hand up and formed a portal to my dimension, letting the portal swallow the beam hole. "I can't take this, it's too much," I added, as I raised my other hand and opened up a second portal which erupted with the familiar massive green beam a split moment later. I burst out laughing as Broly gave a surprise shout when his own beam slammed into him and plowed him through the ceiling, shaking the entire Big Geek Star. "Minato Namikaze, eat your heart out." I posed with my arms wide as if taking in a great big applause. I'd been wanting to try that out for a while now. I can form as many port dimension as I want, hell I can form ones to give to people to conjure as they pleased with my permission. Guru may have called it a simple matter. But even with Kami, Piccolo, and Popo's knowledge on magic, I couldn't understand for the life of me how he made such an elaborate mean. I could make little dimensions if I wanted to, but nothing the size of what Guru made, nor give the ability of authority over it to someone. My amusement was abruptly cut off as I heard Broly screaming in rage, and felt as a massive ki was generated throughout the entirety of the big Geat Star and rushed towards, and I felt it, as his ki that had already grown by a few percentage since his transformation, began to multiply and jump to even higher levels. It was a very fucking familiar process too. Right, full force it is. I frowned and went into full serious mode. I raised my left arm to my forehead, 2 fingers touching it. While I bulked up with the ultra form and a set of arms formed alongside my original 2. My power spiked up massively and I reached for a certain connection that lay between my ki and my magic. 2 of them in fact. I locked onto Broly's ki, and teleported up to him. Immediately I was greeted by the sight I'd figured and feared was happening. A massive orb of green ki was orbiting around, more and more being fed into it from the big Geat Star and into Broly himself. His body, if it was possible, had grown even larger, his obscenely large metallic muscles bulking up further. And the most telling of all, beyond his insane increase in power, his glowing green hair growing and growing down his back towards his knees. Yeah, not happening. This ends now before he becomes too strong for me to deal with at all. Super Dragon Fist! I roared. Golden light suffused my 2 right arms and I punched out with both of them towards Broly. The golden light exploded outwards and took shape into 2 titanic dragons of golden flame and light. Porunga shot ahead of Shenron above and came down with a gigantic fist that punched right through the orb of ki around Broly, slamming into him hard, crunching into his body, becoming full flame and burning through him as he was sent flying downwards. Shenron came up from below, opening his gigantic golden maw wide open, and caught Broly's body between his teeth, melting and crunching through his already battered body. His mouth fully, Shenron destroyed Broly's body entirely, the only remnant of him being his head topped with ridiculously long hair that dropped to the ground at my feet. The 2 golden dragon avatars pierced up through the big Geat Star for miles and looked down at me with crimson red eyes. The avatar of Porunga flashed me a thumbs up, Shenron merely nodded, and then they faded away, as if they were never there to begin with. Karuat. Broly's head roared at me, and I had to step back as he spat another mouth beam at me, then a pair of I-beams, a mess of wires spasmed like tentacles, decapitated neck, stabbing into the floor of the room we were in. I assume, to pull whatever is needed to make a new body for him. A pair of I-beams of my own seared them out of existence. Though it would only last a few seconds, since I could see more forming into existence from his neck stump. You really have a one-track mind, I shook my head in utter disbelief. He's a literal head and still all he can think about is raging at me. Still, fucking legendary Super Saiyan 3, how insane. I thought to myself as I stepped on his head and pinned it face first so he couldn't fire any more beams at me. If I didn't tee out quick, there's no telling how obscenely powerful he would get. I was about to reach down and pry open his skull and get my prize, before a thought occurred to me. He's practically a free power boost sitting on a plate before me. Usually, I do this, it's pretty fucking disturbing. But, as with Cell, I'll make exceptions for the truly evil. The only difference is, I cannot sense a single bit of goodness within Broly's ki. He's the core, someone destined for the deepest parts of hell. I opened a portal to my personal dimension and grabbed a fruit of might. Then, as I did with Cell in draining him of his malicious half and ki, I did the same to Broly. Except, T ripped every single piece out of it and fused it with the fruit of might. Watching in awe as the orange spiky fruit shifted to a glowing luminescent green. Kaka, rot. Broly's head trailed off before falling silent as he died. I took everything but his soul, life force and all. His soul is on its way to Otherworld now, where he'll most be thrown into hell. As a total weakling. The legendary Super Saiyan with a battle power below 1, now that would be a sight to see. Raising the fruit up to my mouth, I devoured it and felt a deep satisfaction within me as I felt my power surge and grow dramatically within me. Growing by nearly half again. M of techniques and battle experience rushed through me. Broly's techniques, and his fighting style, or lack thereof. He'd never needed a fighting style before after all. He was a through and through. His key techniques are a little interesting though, that's for sure. Now then, I mused once I calmed my new growth of power and reached down and picked up Broly's head, allowing my 2 extra arms and bulk from the ultra form to fade a gimme. I tore open Broly's head, and there my prize awaited. It was nestled between the gray matter of Broly's brain. I plucked it out between two fingers and dropped the metallic skull of my defeated foe to the ground. I raised my prize the air and examined it intently. It's almost amazing how small this thing is, I mused. Then again, I have a tiny little organ within my body that can empower an entire dimension and grow multiple planet-devouring trees with ease. So, it's not like I can really talk. Still, staring at the small gray computer chip, a small flashing green light on the end of it no bigger than a common housefly, if that, I had to admit it really was impressive that Geetstar, a humongous moon-sized technological marvel, had this as a true form. Big things truly do come in small packages. Then again, I know that quite well too. Or rather, Bulma does. Well, here goes. I swallowed any hesitation I had and brought the computer chip down to place it against my forehead. I discussed this beforehand with Cell, and should some goes wrong and I don't return within the next few days, he'll use the newly recharged Dragon Balls to deal with it. I'm not really worried, to be honest. But it's always good to have a backup plan just in case. A moment later, I felt Ki ripple along its form and then the computer chip phased through my skull and nestled into my own brain. It was an odd feeling, not uncomfortably, but take a little getting used to. As soon as it settled, I felt a connection form, very similar to the one I had with my personal dimension. I felt fear and hesitation come through the connection. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I quickly made to assure it, projecting my own feelings and desires through the connectee, letting it know what I wanted and what I could give it. Excitement, elation, eagerness and more flowed back through the connection to me. On top of all that, agreement shone through brightly to me. You see, the big Geetstar, for is a technological marvel and unique being, is very much just like an animal. The reason it attacks planets is because it feeds on their life force to continue living. They're the O with large enough life forces to sustain it. The reason why it builds powerful robotic enforcers is because it needs warriors to fight off the protectors of the planets it attacks that would do all in their might to kill it. The reason why it sought out powerful masters like Cooler or Broly is because it sought a powerful protector that could deal with any and all threats to its existence. I can easily supply it with the life force it needs. And even technology taken from Dr. Gero to create infinite key generators. Though they'd be limited in their output, unlike M isn't limited by my max output because my dimension draws straight from my infinite generator through our connection. On top of that, outside of Whis and Beerus, it's quite likely that I am the strongest being alive currently within this universe. I was offering it everything it desired and more. It W2 happy to submit to me. I felt its intentions flow through me. It wanted to enhance my body with metallic parts like Broly and make me stronger. But no, I denied it. No way do I want to lose my living be replace it with a metal one. Not only do I like my body, but while I'd get an immediate boost from the modification, it would also make me much weaker in the long run. No, I had a better idea. I directed my desires through the connection and it rushed to comply. I raised my hand into the air, and a moment later, the metal structure all around M to twist and turn, warping towards me like a swirling metal tornado. It was something that would have surely given me vertigo if it lasted any more than the few seconds it did. But just moments later, I found myself floating in the vast expanse of space, holding a miniature form of the planet-like form it had before in the middle of my palm. The Big Goo had the ability to shapeshift, and even massively compress its form. It was merely in the largest form it could become, for intimidation purposes before, and because the bigger the easier it was for it to latch onto a planet and drain it. Let's do this then. I grinned and formed a portal, entering into my personal dimension and stepping out just in front of my trio of lovely trees. One a golden shimmering one a house, the other two monstrous beasts that rose for miles up into the air and eclipsed skyscrapers easily. Day by day, this dimension drew upon my infinite key generator and promoted not only the growth of my trees, but everything natural within here. That meant, not only was the dimension growing bigger and bigger, but so was the island I was atop of, and so was the ocean of water. Life beget more life. The massive key I gave to this dimension each day converted into growth. Grass, plants, trees and more began growing, natural ores increased in ever-growing abundance. Already, this island that was once only couple thousand feet long and wide at most was nearing the size of a country. And all that space is going to waste. Granted, there's a ton of animals about. I grabbed up all manner of marine life and dropped them in the ocean, from thousands of different types of fish, to sharks, dolphins, and it was a fun little day I spent with Bulla. We even outright grabbed another island full of land animals, and even birds. And well, with the Dragon Ball world the way it was. It had all manner of them, from snakes to PID, even T-Rexes. But, with the big Geet Star, I could start building. Or rather, I could leave it to create an ever-expanding civilization. And my own personal dream world. My own personal NET. I placed the miniaturized version of the big Geet Star's extra body down on the ground and gave it a rough idea of what I wanted. And then I hopped back out of my portal into depths of space and left it to toil and build. I've got some goodbyes to say after all. So instant transmissioning back to Earth, here we go. Mirai Mr. Perfect Cell Battle Power, 21,632,000,000. Mirai Bulla Battle Power, 62,825,000. Mira Piccolo Battle Power, 12,500,200,000. Mirai Gohan Battle Power, 375 million. Mirai Bulma Battle Power, 7,240,150. Kakarot Battle Power, 425,009,572. Bulma Battle Power, 33,241,680. Dend Battle Power, 18,070,000. Super Bulma Battle Power, 1,012,045,750. Metal Broly LSSJ, for 200,000,000, and rising. Broly LSSJ, main body, 13,950,000,000. Broly LSSJ2, main body, 27,900,000,000, and rising. Broly LSSJ2, main body mid-fight 30,690,000,000, and rising. Broly LSSJ3, main body 122,760,000,000, and rising. Mystic Super Saiyan plus Ultra Form plus 4 Witches Kakarot, 114,752,584,440. Super Dragon Fist, 344,257,753,320. Kakarot Base after eating Broly Fruit, 611,009,572. Chapter 21. Father, you're back! Cell exclaimed, wide-eyed as I appeared beside him, and so quickly too. To think, you managed to so handily quash that obscenely powerful ki I felt even when it grew even beyond my imagination, so rapidly. He paused then, blinking as he looked me over, and your own power has grown even further. The bio-android shook his head, as expected of father I suppose. Did you obtain what you were looking for? Yep, indeed I did, I grinned and pointed at my head, it's right in here. And I can already feel it getting to work. It was only a minute ago I'd left its extra body within my personal dimension, but already I could feel the massive changes occurring within. It would be something incredible once it was done, that was for sure, and I can't wait to see it. Truly, the things you can accomplish when you put your mind to it are frightening, father. Cell smiled at me. Why, if you so desired, could you not reach the heights of this Omni King yourself? That, I don't know, no idea, I shrugged. I've got plans in the work, and I'm sure sometime in the future I can reach the level of Beerus, but beyond that is something I can't be sure of at all. The plan I had to reach the level of Beerus was only something I could attempt thanks to Guru's creation of my dimension, and the biggest reasoning why I hunted down all manners of wildlife from land living, aquatic and flying, and why I wanted the big Geet Star to build a civilization for me, beyond being the ultimate NET system. Yes, well I'm sure once you've reached that point in the next week, you'll begin looking into it. Cell gave an amused huff, but on other matters, father, it hasn't been very long since Bulla left to meet with Gohan. It may be a good idea to give her more time. True. I agreed. It had only been a bit over an hour since I left to grab the big Geet Star? I hadn't expected it to take so little time. Bulma probably isn't done getting the stuff she was grabbing either. I guess I'll lounging about here with you for a few more hours. This will be the last time we see each other for a while after all. I will appreciate the company. Cell grinned broadly, though, about it being the last time we'll be together for a while, I may have found a way around that. Oh? I raised an eyebrow in interest. What has he been up to? Come, follow me, father, he beckoned me with a wave of his pale hand, there is something I want to show you. Shrugging, I did just that. I followed behind him as he led me into his residence. We passed by Mr. Popo being helped in some odd chores by Android 13 on the way through, before I was led to Cell's throne room. The seat of power of the Guardian of Earth. When I entered into the room behind Cell, I paused and stared gobsmacked at a small bipedal, insectoid with a blue carapace. A Cell Jr.? I uttered in surprise. Especially since, it's a Cell Jr. in the shape of his imperfect form. Close, father, Cell replied, but not the same Cell I was following. The imperfect Cell Jr. walked forward, but not quite. A second body, containing a portion of my consciousness, the fully perfect Cell I followed here continued, using the concepts behind the fission technique, the multiform technique, and the Namekian birthing ability, I formed this second, permanent body. Though, the Cell Juniors you are familiar with are now outside of my reach for a few years due to the strain of creating this second body. It is to be expected, his smaller form mused, not only did I manage to reach close to my full power with this body, I also managed to create it in the form of my imperfect self, opening up the avenue to evolve once more should certain requirements be met. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this. I replied, blinking in bemusement. I'm quite happy with it. Both Cells turned to me and spoke as one, twin smiles on lips and beak. This way, not only can I continue doing my duty as the Guardian of Earth, but I can also travel with you. Well, if nothing else. It's a pleasant surprise. Underscore. With Cell and his secondary body in tow, it was as good a time as any to get this show on the road and get on back. So I sent the messages out to those who were returning with me to my timeline and had them all come to meet me atop Cammy's lookout. And with how strong all of them had gotten, even Dend, I wasn't exactly waiting long at all. Bulma teleported in with instant transmission within moments, and Bulla and Dend flew in within a few minutes. So we're finally heading back, huh? Bulma mused. Despite her new status as a fused being, she wasn't wearing the clothing she got from it, and was clad in just a pair of short shorts and a tank top. As it was, she didn't honestly look that much older than Bulla. I'm going to miss that mature charm one of the two Bulmas had. There was just something amazing about fucking the shit out of a fully mature and grown mother. MILFs truly are exquisite. Let's get this show on the road already. I want to go take a crack at this freezer guy. Bulla grinned, hands crossed behind her head. I've been bored without any enemies to fight good and proper now that those trashy androids are dead and gone. Dear sister, they are not dead, they live on, in me. Cell at my side beamed happily. Though it might have been hard to tell since he had a kind of beak again now instead of human lips. Stop calling me that bug boy, she turned her nose up at him, it's even worse with how much uglier this form of yours is. Cell gave gasp and grasped at his chest. Sister, how could you be so mean to your loving brother, he cried, I may just cry my eyes out. God, I hate you. Bulla gave Cell a dry stare. That's not good. Cell shook his head and looked to me. Father, are you sure you should not lock her up? Perhaps the former evil within me is influencing her? Fuck off, as if anything about you could influence me, you pansy. Bulla shot back. Well, it certainly influenced something. Your power and fighting ability are far better for it, Cell sniffed, tilting his head up condescendingly. I wonder what that says about you that my mere dregs gave you such a boost? Oh, that is it, bug boy. Bulla snarled, golden light sparking around her form as she prepared to transform. You wanna go? I'll kick your ass right here. Cell laughed. Dear sister, I'm afraid that is still far out of your ability to do. He casually waved her off. Even if this body is roughly only half the power of my main body, I'm still more than twice as powerful as you even as a Super Saiyan. Bulla bared her teeth at Cell, but before she could do anything, a hand whipped out across her spandex-clad ass and spanked her. She jumped in shock, and whirled around to look behind her. And found me, arms now crossed and giving her an unimpressed look. Usually I'm all for the banter, but we've got shit to do. Sorry daddy. She flushed and looked away. Funny how things worked out. That started out as a flirty joke, and now it's more or less true. Well, stepdaddy at the very least. You can brawl and get your ass spanked later, I told her. I want to hurry up and get a move on and get back. After all, from what I've found out, the time in my original timeline has still been flowing. I won't be going back to the same exact time Fu tossed us here. That means in total, since I woke up in that timeline, roughly 8 months have passed. Vegeta and Nappa shouldn't be too far away from Earth. And that's where I keep my pet Cybermen. I can't have them getting killed. Man, he's really got you disciplined, hasn't he? Bulma snorted at her daughter. Oh, shut up, you old horny slut. Bulma grumbled. Despite what her daughter called her, Bulma merely snorted and crossed her arms. Somebody's jealous they ain't getting all of their daddy's attention, she sing-songed. I rolled my eyes and looked at the last of my party. You good, Dend? I asked. Said your goodbyes? Yes, Dend replied softly. I made sure to let Gohan and Piccolo know when I would be leaving. Yeah, the little green had spent most of his time these last few months with Gohan and Piccolo, mostly being mentored a bit by Piccolo due to him having fused with Kami. And while I don't know to which extent, his skills have really come a long way. I'm hoping his skill when it's come to unlocking potential has as well, so the others back home can catch up quicker. Granted, either way at this point, all of them are going to break the million barrier easily. Honestly, I'll be surprised if after I load them up on fruit, get their potential unlocked and give them some of the Yema fruit I've been growing thanks to Krinoa, they don't at least reach Frieza tier. Which reminds me, I should probably give Bulla one of the Yema fruit soon days. She isn't quite approaching the limit just yet, but trying to eke out every little extra bit in the end could end up with her missing the chance altogether. After all, Gohan after his potential unlock couldn't use them, he'd long jumped over the threshold they'd do anything, and the same was true of Piccolo when he came back. Ah shit. My eyes widened. I should have stopped my Bulmas from fusing and gave them Yema fruit first as well. Stupid. I shook my head inside. At the very least, Bulma didn't really have any interest in ever pursuing strength. It still would have more than doubled her current fused strength though. Alrighty then, let's get a move on. I decided and clicked my fingers, summoning a portal to my personal dimension. What the fuck is that? Bulla gaped as soon as I did as they all looked through the portal. I looked through the portal and blinked. I was surprised to find, what looked like a massive technological advanced building had suddenly sprouted up from around where my trees were. Looks like the big Geet star really did get to work fast. I just left it with a few little instructions and already it was getting to work. Nice. Don't mind that, it's just the ultimate NET system. I waved her off. Cell can explain once you guys get in. Aye, father. Cell saluted me and happily jumped in through the portal. Bulla rolled her eyes, but followed him inside and Den shrugged and did as well. He'd learned to roll with the craziness around him as of late. Good lad, that little green. He'll for sure become a big green one day. Oh? Bulma though cocked her hip and eyed it with interest. Is that the big Geet star thing you were telling me about before that you wanted to get your hands on? Yeah. I nodded. Cool, the blue-haired woman grinned. I think I'll go poke around it and see how it works, she said before quickly following the others inside. I shrugged. Well, I was planning on letting Bulma run all the maintenance on it anyway. I closed the portal before eyeing the ring on my finger. The time ring forced onto me by Fu like a brand, then turned into an amazing gift thanks to the sexy little short stack that was Krinoa. I should do something nice for her. Granted, not that she really needs me as of right now, since she has the Gary Stu half Kai, half Scion as her current enforcer. Fucking Super Saiyan gods, man. Good thing I already have a plan to get my own god key when I get back. Raising my hand into the air, the time ring glinted in the sunlight and I uttered the incantation I had prepared to focus on my timeline with it. Fu's a faggot, I grandly declared. And the air rippled, a dark portal forming in the air above me, to which I promptly flew up and into, heading back. It didn't take very long at all before I came to the end of the wormhole in time generated by the ring around my finger. In mere moments, I came out of the other side and found myself landing on grass of an odd coloring. A familiar odd-colored grass. Blue grass, under a bright green sky. I'm back on planet Namek, and if I'm not mistaken, at the exact spot we'd entered my personal dimension before that fucker Fu came in and made everything go all awry. I should probably come up with a name for it actually instead of just always calling it my personal dimension. It does kind of need a name for my plans as well. Honestly, I'm not sure if I should thank him or curse him for that. Thanks to him, I got way more accomplished in these past 6 months than I ever thought I would. But at the same time, that fucker forced me into it, and I'm not a fan of that at all. And really, wasn't that the deciding factor? Note to self, prepare a contingency to take out Fu. I mused to myself. These past 6 months, I'd been more focused on abusing everything I could to get stronger. But now that I'm in the past, more specifically, on Namek, where Guru is, there is one plan I could put into motion that has a chance of dealing with Fu, assuming I can catch him unawares. I put the thought away initially really because it was just plain unsafe, and I had nowhere to keep it in the meantime. But, Guru can help me with that. The death bomb, that is. A technique I made up on the fly just to be petty and mentally go the opposite route of Son Goku. Really, it's more or less just like the spirit bomb, only, it draws energy only from me and will hit everyone regardless, unlike the spirit bomb that won't harm good people. Honestly, it's a pretty shitty technique even. The only good thing about it is that it can be left the way it is for an extended period of time and continuously added to like the spirit bomb. But, with my infinite key generator, I could add my max amount of power to it over and over and over. Given enough time, it should gain enough firepower to even hurt Fu. I mean, he managed to hastily charged one back during our first meeting rather than take it head on, so it's as good a plan as any really right now, right? The only problem with that plan was, as I mentioned, having somewhere to keep it. Thankfully, I'm back at Guru's place now and he can make me a handy-dandy little dimension to store it. Storage garage dimension. Speaking of, I spread my awareness out and sensed throughout the planet, and then promptly choked on my own spit, eyes widening in utter shock. Before I left planet Namek, the entire race numbered less than 100. But right now, I can sense over 300 distinct Namekian keys. I'd become very familiar with the sensation while here before after all, and it was easy to notice how similar they were to each other. The race had tripled in population since I got tossed into the future by Fu. And not only that, not only was everyone I sensed much stronger than before, which was saying something considering Den had been the weakest before at a battle power of 10,000, some of the new ones I was familiar with, I estimated in the same range as Nail and Guru were before I left. But, even more shocking, was one power that utterly dwarfed all others on the planet, and the key was of a very familiar person. I wouldn't mistake my good buddy Guru's key for anyone. But the difference in power compared to when I left was like night and day. Reaching up to my face, I turned on my scouter and scanned the highest battle power on the planet, and promptly choked again at the number that was reported back to me. 4,480,000,000. More or less, 4.5 billion. That was pretty much 8 times my own base power. What the hell has Guru been up to these past 6 months? I sputtered internally. It was incredible. Sure, Piccolo was stronger in his base form, with a base of around 11 billion, but Piccolo got that from a potential unlock after fusing with Kami. And was also over 15 years in the future. And I'm pretty sure this is Guru's base power, because he feels pretty relaxed right now. Well, actually, his power just spiked a bit with alertness. I'm pretty sure he sensed me. And yeah, I can feel him rushing my way now. But seriously, with his super Namekian form, the Ultra Form and 4 Witches technique, wouldn't he reach over 15 billion comfortably? At this point Guru can mop up Frisia, Cell, and probably Bu as well. It wasn't long, less than a minute even before Guru arrived. His huge form was easily spottable from a distance and I could tell how fast he rushed over here when he didn't gently land down like was typical for his gentle personality, but rather slammed into the ground with all his weight. The ground cracked and rumbled beneath this titanic form. And as I looked him over, I had to withhold a whistle, because I felt like he had gotten even bigger. The guy was like 5 of me both up and across. Kakarot! Guru cried joyously and before I could react, two huge pairs of muscular arms the size of my body had swept me up and pulled me into a back-breaking hug. Was this revenge for me doing it to him back then? It's lucky I'm so amazingly powerful. If it was someone weak, like Frisia, they may just get SNU to death. Gee, good to see you too, buddy. I awkwardly tried to pat him on the back, but failed. My arms are too short to get around to the sheer wideness of his muscular torso. Thankfully, when Guru put me down, my super regeneration had already taken care of the creaks my bones had gained from the greatest of bro hugs. So, what's up? I grinned at him, noting that he'd changed his clothing. Before, he had worn a white robe, but now he was rocking a pair of pants and open vest that bared his hugely muscular torso to the world. Frisia would take one look at those muscles and run for the space boonas. Nothing much, my young friend, Guru smiled broadly. Things have been quiet here for the most part. Admittedly, I became worried when you disappeared, but Purunga, while not able to bring you back, was able to tell me of what occurred, and I could rest easy knowing you would be back. Ah, he actually used Purunga just to look for me? Despite how much the Namekians disliked using the Dragon Balls themselves? Man, I'm actually a little touched. Good to know. So what's with your crazy power? I asked, gesturing to him curiously. It was nothing special either, Guru chuckled, waving me off with a huge green hand. When Purunga was unable to bring you back, I decided to use the wish to bring my evil half, the one you know as Lord Slug, to Namek, where I put an end to his evil and assimilated him back into myself. This power boost, you see, is merely the result of us joining together again, not unlike the ones you know as Kami and Piccolo. Well, that made sense, I guess. I mean, Piccolo fusing with Kami actually made him relevant, and Guru was way stronger than Piccolo was at base. How is Den? Guru asked before I could think of anything else. He's fine, I replied, way stronger than he was before now, not far off of how strong Nail was when we got tossed into the future. And he's really come into his own with his abilities and a lot more confident in himself. Somehow, Guru's huge smile got even larger. Good, that is splendid news. I'm glad my child is flourishing despite the odd circumstances. You want to see him? I asked. I could easily bring him out. No, Guru shook his head. I think it best to put off meeting him again for a while. Let him come more into his independence. It will do him more good, I believe. Fair enough, I shrugged. We'll have to get a move on soon anyway and head for Earth. I don't know if the guys back home will be fine to deal with the Scions without me, and I'm getting a little antsy. Well, if that is all, there is no need to worry. I have been keeping an eye on Earth just in case you did not return in time, Guru assured me. The Scions approaching your planet are still a few weeks out from arriving, and I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised, but quite a few of your Earthling friends have grown well strong enough to defeat the one known as Vegeta outside of his Oozuru form thanks to you. Wait, what? Some of them had actually surpassed Saiyan Saga Vegeta? I mean, it's a low, tiny level. I could smite Vegeta right now with one of my pubies, but for those guys who weren't abusing cheats like me, it was actually pretty impressive. I'm curious now to go take a look at things. Well, I'll head back in a bit then, I grinned. Before I do though, I was wondering if you could do me a bit of a favor, to help a bit with that prick Fu. The annoyance that threw you into the future? Guru cocked his head to the side, before nodding without hesitation. Yes, he is quite the odd being. A plan to deal with him is something we need. I will lend any aid I can. Well then, can you make me another dimension like the one you did before? I asked, grin threatening to split my face, just a completely empty one, a void really with nothing in it at all. If he had eyebrows, I'm sure Guru would have raised them at my request. Very well, that is easy enough to accomplish, a few hours of effort at best. Bitchin'. ________________________ While Kakarot was returning back in time and meeting up with his brother from another species Guru, the rest of his party were exploring his personal dimension and the changes it was going through. Bulma was rushing around the place at super speed, eyes practically sparkling at the newly built tech within the place, claiming that despite the infancy of the place, it put even Capsule Corp to shame. Dent had never seen a place like it himself and was examining everything and anything like a country bumpkin. Bulla herself, she didn't really care. It was advanced tech, whoop-dee-doo. Growing up in a world with shitty toasters that killed everyone for shits and giggles kinda put a damper on her enjoyment of the shit. So she just headed to her favorite place in the dimension. The courtyard, the new high-tech castle thing, had built itself around where two towering monolithic trees pierced up into the sky for miles on end. What the fuck is this? Bulla sputtered in shock when she got there though. It had been a while since she'd been here, but she was sure that wasn't there. That, being some kind of pod with a familiar comatose blonde laying within it. She should be dead, sucked up inside that shitty bug's pussy tail thing alongside her faggot twink brother. Her head twisted to look over her shoulder and she glared at the miniature shitty bug who had been following her. You, she spat, explain. Cell went potty. Cell merely grinned smugly at her through that stupid beak mouth thing of his. She resisted the urge to blast him with a key blast and erase him from existence. Kakarot would be pissed if she damaged his precious trees. Like seriously, so pissed he might not actually fuck her like she wanted. I'm serious, this bitch should be dead. Bulla spat, you fucking ate her. Curiosity killed the cat, you know, dear sister, Cell tuned serious, crossing his arms and rolling his eyes at her. If you must know, father asked me to regurgitate her after he was sure I'd spend enough time with her in my body to not lose my perfect form, and since father asked, I did so. This guy really pissed her off. She played up the kinky daddy's girl thing because it was kinda hot, and she got a bit of a kick out of it, imaging her actual father roaring in rage about it all, not to mention he kinda was technically her stepdad now, which was funny as fuck in of itself. But this guy? He literally was a daddy's boy. Why, she didn't get. He was supposed to be some super apocalyptic evil, yet just taking his evil side from him made him this? He hung on Kakarot's every word as if he was the god of gods himself, the be-all and end-all. That explains the how, but not the why. She crossed her arms and glared back. I felt no need to know. I had no interest in Android 18 after she fulfilled her purpose to make me perfect. Cell shrugged uncaringly. Father has plans for this one, that is all that needs to be said. Fucking little suck-up bug man. Huffing, Bulla ignored him and turned around, stomping over to examine the blonde android within the pod. Honestly, it just looked like a hospital bed in a pod, nothing interesting. Though, there was something that caught her eye. At the top of the pod, there was a large number being displayed. 436 million. The hell is with these numbers, she asked. That is Android 18's approximate battle power, Cell easily explained. Father has been feeding the wench some of his fruit each day, apparently his plans will go better if she is stronger. And even being fed fruit personally by him every day, all she has is a pathetic 436 million? Bulla scoffed in derision. 6 months ago, that completely dwarfed anything she was capable of 100 times over. But now? While stronger than her base, as a super scion she could kill this stupid blonde slut as easily breathing. Whatever, I've lost interest now. Bulla scoffed, walking away. She was going to go train until daddy let her out. Bye-bye dear sister, do have fun blowing things up like the meathead you are, will you? Cell mockingly waved after her. Stupid bug. Underscore 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 underscore. Current Z Fighters battle powers. Goku battle power, 21,250, completed Kaioken and Spirit Bomb training. Piccolo battle power, 18,621. Gohan battle power, 17,564. Yamcha battle power, 6,807. Tien battle power, 8135. Krillin battle power, 7220. Yajiro battle power, 6022. Kaiatsu battle power, 5592. Ichiji battle power, 12,408. Niji battle power, 12,179. Master Roshi, 7,139. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn is a Goku clone. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.